I want you to listen to this audio, right? It's an audio of Ed Lover, and he confirming that, Bernie Mac told him personally that Steve Harvey was hating on him.
And then he goes on to say that after he was supposed to be one of the new kings of comedy, that they approached him after Bernie passed and they wanted to take it back out, and he was supposed to be a new king of comedy, but he didn't want to go on the Kings of Comedy tour because of Steve Harvey's treatment of Bernie Mac. He has a lot of respect for Bernie Mac, and I love Bernie Mac. Y'all know Bernie Mac was a Who's the Man. Bernie Mac was a friend of mine until he passed on. When I tell you one dude that has never, ever, ever changed, y'all have heard me say this before, is Bernie Mac. Love Bernie Mac. And Bernie, the stuff that he said, Katt Williams said about Steve Harvey calling to try to get Bernie's role on Oceans and that kind of stuff, Bernie told me out of his own mouth. And Bernie, I've known Bernie. Like I said, we did Who's the Man in like 91 to 92. The movie came out in 93. Okay? I met Bernie during the taping of Def Comedy Jam. And I went and said, we need Bernie Mac in this movie. Bernie Mac has never fronted on me. Bernie Mac has never lied to me. I believe Bernie Mac when he said Steve Harvey hated on him.
What you think about Ed Lover comments? Him saying that, Bernie Mac told him personally that Steve Harvey was hating on him.
Again, I could tell you this facts, I could tell you that if a man's not there to hear the story, you ever go to court and someone say, Your Honor, such and such said, and you know what they'll say? That's hearsay. Does have no validation whatsoever. So with that frame of mind, I wasn't at that conversation. I don't know that situation. I've heard in bits and pieces throughout my career that Steve Harvey didn't like Bernie Mac. But that's life, though. A lot of people just don't get along. People argue, people fight, and it's just life. And if it didn't happen, it didn't happen. If kudos to Katt if he didn't want to go on the tour to get that kind of money, because that would have been a great opportunity for him to get a check. The thing about what people need to understand, I used to say this to people, I'm saying it now, never put emotions in front of your money. Never put emotion that you can't get that dollar, because at the end of the day, no one's going to respect you. So you real dog. You stood up for Bernie. Because if it was the other way around, you don't know if that person would have did the same thing for you. Do you understand?
Nah, I feel you. That's a good point.
People always talk about you keep it real, but would you have done it for me? And I could tell you, man, a lot of people say things and until the shoe's on the other foot and they don't move the same way you move. And you hurt. You're like, oh, I would have did it for you. Don't always go like that, man. I always tell people, get the bread as much as you can without stepping on someone, if you could do that. But people step on people also to this day to get the dollar. Ask a lot of people in the music industry, ask Taraji, ask Terrence Howard. People stepped on them and walked away with millions of their money and gave them change and never cared about their feelings.
Who is funnier, Steve Harvey or Bernie Mac to you?
Bernie Mac for sure. Yeah, it's hands down. And ask me who's funnier than Steve Harvey and Bernie Mac.
Who's funnier than Steve Harvey and Bernie Mac?
Me. T to the motherfucking K. And that came out of Bernie Mac's mouth when we used to do his club in Chicago. Right? But that's hearsay. That's hearsay. But that came out of his mouth. But listen to me. Every comic in this business, every comic, if you know stand-up comedy, they would tell you TK Kirkland. But what most people do, if they bring up TK Kirkland, if they have anything negative to say, they'll talk about the situation happened years ago and over 40 years ago with the Eddie Murphy, Charlie Murphy thing. If I'm real funny, they'll say, oh, TK you can't say this on his show. You can't say that on his show because it's my show. And I know how a show is supposed to be produced. So when I do my shows, I produce my show the way I want my show ran. You can only do a certain amount of minutes. You can't say certain things. So since I saw that was hurting people, hurting their feelings, well, guess what? I'm so cold, I do this by myself. So I do a one-man show. I have a DJ. The DJ says, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for TK Kirkland. I go on stage, and then I get all the money. You got to be cold to do that, bro.